Hi everyone, this is Disconnected, a series of interviews on society and spirituality in the modern world. I'm Jessica. I'm a college student, and I started this podcast because I have a lot of questions. Questions about our brains, about how we emotionally connect with people, about religion, and about how all of those things affect us in our perception of the world. I wanted to know what makes social connections possible, and what makes them feel real to us. This is tricky enough with people. Our relationships can be messy and unreliable and difficult. Our human relationships are already really complex. So how do we form connections with supernatural beings who are invisible and intangible? It's all very confusing. And since I have none of the answers, I went to find people who do. In the first 3 episodes, I talked to 2 psychologists and a social worker about why socialization is important and how we form relationships.
What we see for newborns particularly is that they're already primed to pay attention to social cues. So they will attend to eyes and faces more than other new objects in their environment.
We see that people can interpret emotions from sweat. We have 350 different olfactory receptors, which is a lot different than the, say, 3 cones that we have in our eyes that perceive color.
Every interaction for children, regardless of age, is a learning experience. And for all of us, really, it's a learning experience, especially for the very young child. They're introduced to the world with every interaction. We're social creatures. That is built in our DNA, and we need that.
In the 4th episode, we get the perspective of an expert in communications about technology and how the introduction of new technologies changes our connections.
Technology, maybe if we're focusing especially more recently, changes the way people communicate, maybe in terms of frequency and in terms of length.
In episode 5, a scholar of religious studies discusses the theories explaining the cognitive basis of our ability to believe in supernatural beings and the frameworks that make religion possible.
The very limits of our human condition create the potential to imagine something that transcends it.
In episodes 6 and 7, I chat with 2 religious leaders, one a Zen Buddhist chaplain and the other an Orthodox priest, about their religions and why they have chosen them.
The Dharma came at me with something that felt very true. Like its opening kind of like target statement to me was like, life is going to also be about loss. At first, I found it particularly grim. But when I sat with it, when I was with it for a while, I was like, it's honest. And I really found that honesty to be just a wonderful opening door for myself.
To me, it's like a dance, right? In a typical dance, maybe a ballroom dance or flamenco or something like that. There is an energy that initiates, and then there's an energy that responds. The entire purpose for the initiative of God is the response of humanity. And to me, that's kind of a beautiful image of that dance-like relationship.
The last 4 episodes are people telling their stories about the importance of their relationships and religions in their lives.
Because my whole belief system was just shattered. And so through religious studies and learning about other religions and finding out, what worked for me, it grounds me and it reminds me like my scope in the world. What am I here for? And how do I treat other people?
It's almost unexplainable how he feels real to you, because there's so many intangibles that go on that you may not necessarily see, but it's a special feeling that you get that you almost can't explain to somebody. Almost like when you know someone's the right person for you. You can't explain to somebody, but you just have this feeling about what you're doing is right, and what you're believing in is also true as well.
And through my studies of all of this, I came to the conclusion that not only is religion a projection of our social habitats, but also that there is no true origin that you can come to other than people.
My father believed in kindness above everything else. And so I try to follow his lead and try to create an environment where everyone feels welcome. And I feel that is and ought to be the basis of all religion.
So thank you for tuning in. I hope you have as good a time listening to the series as I did making it, and I hope you get some of your questions answered too.